Hello, welcome back to Let's Talk Real Estate. My name is Kristen Jock with Compass, and on this week's episode, I'm discussing should I refinance now that rates have dropped? So for those of you who are numbers people, I'm just going to throw a few figures at you. So the 30-year fixed rate mortgage fell to 3.6%, down from 5% last November. After the rate dropped 2 weeks ago, that essentially meant that more than 8 million 30-year mortgage holders were now eligible to refinance and to save minimum 3/4 of a percentage point in doing so. Additionally, last week, refinance mortgage applications were up 116%. Millennials were particularly reactive to the rate drop. So last June, only 8% of millennial mortgage applications were for refinance. The rest were to purchase a home. And this past June, that jumped up to 14%. So when considering whether to refinance, I think you really need to look closely at what is the cost to refinance. So you're likely looking to refinance in order to save money. But you can't lose track of the fact that you'll need to pay closing costs on the loan, anywhere from 2 to 4%. So that's $10,000 to $20,000 on a $500,000 mortgage. So you'll want to do the math to determine how long it'll take you to recoup the closing costs for refinancing. So if your closing costs are $5,000, and you're looking to save $250 on your monthly mortgage payment, that means it will take you 20 months before you recoup your closing costs and actually start to save. You'll also want to be wary of any lender advertising no-cost refinancing, as you'll likely be paying through a higher interest rate, a larger loan balance, or the upfront payment of discount points. When you do decide to refinance, you're actually applying for a new loan. So whether you're working with your original lender or a new lender, you'll need to provide documentation and they'll need to verify your income, your assets, your credit profile, your debt to income ratio, as well as your job history. In addition to needing to be qualified personally, the property will also have to appraise for at least the value of the loan. When looking specifically at co-ops, you'll need to remember that your co-op board will need to approve a refinance. So no co-op board will consider a refinance if you're behind on any maintenance, any fines, or any other monies. So you'll want to make sure that everything is paid in full before you proceed with applying for a refinance. When looking specifically at condos, you'll recall from when you originally applied to your building that not only do you need to qualify, but also your condo association needs to qualify. So there are specific regulations when it comes to refinancing condos, and the condo association will need to comply. So they'll be looking at things like the number of owner-occupied units, the value of the unit, and also the relation or ratio of any commercial square footage in the building to the total square footage of the building. So you'll want to keep these things in mind if you're planning on doing a refinance on either a co-op or a condo. You'll also want to take note that refinancing usually makes more sense earlier on in your mortgage than later on. The reason being that in the early years of your mortgage, more of your payment goes towards interest, whereas in the later years, more of your payment goes towards paying the principal rather than the interest. So once you refinance, it's almost like you're starting all over again. Let's say on your old mortgage that you were 10 years into it and you had 20 years remaining. Well, if you refinance into a new 30-year mortgage, you'll be starting directly back at square one of 30 years. And lastly, I just want to point out some other benefits to refinancing. So you can pull out equity through refinancing, you can shorten the term of your loan, you can refinance from an adjustable rate mortgage to a fixed rate mortgage, And if you have an FHA mortgage with PMI or primary mortgage insurance, you can cancel the PMI by refinancing from an FHA to a conventional mortgage. As always, I hope that this information is useful. If you have comments or questions, please leave them below. I highly encourage you to speak with a very knowledgeable loan officer if you are considering to refinance, and to look quite closely at the numbers, use a mortgage calculator, and determine if it makes sense for you. Have a wonderful week. Take care.